and focusing on Spurs and specifically Thomas Frank. It'll be interesting to know what the headlines in London are saying about him now, because we went from singing his praises at the beginning of the season to now looking at how Spurs have really faltered and looked very lackluster in some big games and big moments. So in terms of bigger pictures, are there any worries there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I really think today was embarrassing. He embarrassed himself to start with, Thomas Frank, with what he tried to put in place, really, which, to be fair, being there was, when you got the team here, you understand the back five, Palhinha and Bentancur, that front three, which would do what they could, I guess, with the ball, with maybe one of the wing backs, depending on where the ball was. So they would attack with 4, defend with 11. He said that the plan was to press really high and to be aggressive and to go. To press high, you need Arsenal to actually have the ball in their own box or to have a goal kick, which was never the case. Spurs touched the ball twice in the Arsenal box in the first half. They had 14 passes in the Arsenal half. Not in the last 30, in the Arsenal half, 14 passes in the whole of 48 minutes of the first half. That's one pass. I mean, it's embarrassing. It was an embarrassing performance from him and from the team. And he changed at halftime with Xavi Simons may as well not have been on the pitch, really, for the whole second half. So yes, they scored that goal that Arsenal gifted them in a way, because Zubimendi should never get hold of the ball for so long, should have let the ball go before that. But I thought Thomas Frank got everything wrong today, and it's not the first time. We talked about how bad they were against Chelsea at home and how no threat they offered. He's got no patterns of play going forward. Attacking-wise, there is nothing. And when his team doesn't defend well, which they did at the start of the season, but not so much anymore, then they have nothing going for them. And I know he needs energy from the fans, energy from the players. That's how his Brentford team was so good, right? Because they had all that energy, especially at home. It was a fortress. You don't get that same way in a big club. Players don't respond the same way. Fans don't respond the same way. They've got other expectations. They're very demanding, far more than at Brentford, for example. And right now, he can't get what he wants. And he can't get it right either. And today, you can understand maybe why you would want to go for a back five and be solid and compact. But you go with a back five again and those 2 6s in front of that, and you leave all that space for Moreno and Eze and Trossard and Saka. It was a walk in the park for Arsenal, and it shouldn't have never been. And for me, this is all on Thomas Frank.
Putting Arsenal's brilliance aside, though, do you think Thomas Frank, as Jules said, did himself no favours just starting with how he lined up his team?
Yeah, I think Jules hit the nail on the head, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, when we talk about patterns of play, you know, the patterns of play, the reason you use them is because when things are not going well, you can revert to them. Things that you train every day and work on every day, you know, ball's going wide. When it goes wide, it comes in. When it comes in, it's a quick flick. All of those things you work on for when things are not going well. You know, we'd all love to get a team and just throw them out on the field, and it's Brazil or the great Dutch teams or the great Real Madrid teams where they can just play, and you can. Every coach would love to be able to say, you know what, you go and show us what quality you've got. But not everybody can do that. And so yes, you have to be organised, but you also have to have a structure going forward. And I have to agree with Jules. They, not only in this game but recently, have looked as though they have no structure going forward whatsoever. We figured that he would get them organised after the last manager, which he did, which is the easy bit. You know, coaching, the easy bit is filling holes, keeping it tight. Where should you be? The toughest part of coaching is the other side of the game. How do you get everybody forward? How do we do it correctly? How do we do it quickly? And then how do we put the ball in the net? And today, he got both wrong, and that's worrying.
As a former player, but also I have to imagine if you're a fan of Spurs and you're watching this game and you're getting run over all over the field, and every time they pan to your manager, this guy is over here with the assistants. They're looking at the tablet, right? and they're discussing, and they're doing the thing and the tablet, and then they're pointing over there, and the tablet over here, and I'm like, throw the tablet away, dude. The answers are not there. Yeah. The game is right out there in front of you. In front of you. The answers are not there. If you're having to look at your tablet 10 times during the first half to try to break it down and figure out what's going on, then you have issues. The answers are not here, the answers are out there on the field, and you have to make those decisions on the run. And what I saw was a guy with a blank stare. And when you're a player and you see your manager who's diving into the tablet and has a blank stare when you look at him, guess what? If he's not sure,
You're not sure.
then you're not sure. At the very least, you got to fake until you make it. At the very least, you have to portray a sense of, I know what I'm doing, this is the game plan, and this is how we're going to execute it. But every time you look to the silence, he's over here on the tablet, you lost me.
There's not a player that ever played the game when the manager's on the touchline, shouting your name, looking at you, pointing the finger, telling you to buck your ideas up. There's not a player that wants that. And there's not a player, almost every single player reacts to that. As Ali said, they certainly don't react to some guy with his head stuck in a tablet, that's for sure.